Thank you, Master of Ceremony, and honorable judges, timekeepers, and ladies and gentlemen. And sorry for the very long time. Anyway, let me start. It was a hot day. The sun was blazing, birds were singing, and I was sweating. I was walking on the campus in southern England with an Italian guide beside me. It was the last day of the summer school program I joined when I was 15, and we were cherishing our last moments. At first, we were laughing together, looking back days we spent together, and suddenly, it took an emotional turn. He said quietly, "Actually, I have never met such a friendly Japanese guy, Yuichi." Ladies and gentlemen, most of you might have heard that Japanese people are typically poor at speaking English, and it could be true in some ways. Here is the story. One day, when I go back to my house, my father told me about a TV program he was titled, "Let's Talk About the Future of China, Korea, and Japan." In the class, there were 8 students from each country, and my father was quite disappointed because those Japanese students didn't even try to use English to make themselves understood, while both the Chinese and the Korean students expressed their opinions in English. This scene illustrated Japanese people's typical attitude towards speaking English in a way. We hesitate to speak loud in English, even though we have studied in school for at least 3 years to 6 years at least. However, according to a survey of Japanese people's self-esteem regarding their English ability, about 80% of Japanese people replied they are not confident in their English speaking ability. I think it is a pity that they believe they are poor at speaking English because it is obvious that they have the fundamentals that help be built in school education. They are already ready to communicate, actually. We have the fundamentals, but we hesitate to speak loud in English. Why? The lack of opportunity to speak English? Some people criticize that in Japan, both teachers and students are so focused on paper exams that they forget to spend enough time putting what they learn into practice. However, reforming the education system would take a long time. Actually, there is something we can do on our own to change ourselves. The question is, are we able to realize that we have the fundamentals? Actually, today I'm standing here to tell you how I realized it and what I learned from the realization. Here's my experience. When I was 15, I went to UK for a month in a summer school program. The first of the day, I was so nervous. Then I recognized there were some Japanese students in the corner gathering among themselves. How relieved I was to find them. I was heading towards them and just about to join their gathering when a striking image popped up in my mind. It was my uncle, who is one of my best friends and who survived a stroke when I was 14. Before joining the program, I was always complaining about schooling abroad. However, my uncle always encouraged me, sometimes by joking, "Oh, Yuichi, it's much better than having a stroke in the summer vacation." And sometimes by saying, "This is a great opportunity for you to take a first step forward to the world." Take a first step forward. I embraced the words with me. That was when I got the courage to say to myself, "Okay, I'm not here to speak Japanese." So I absent-mindedly tried talking to a random Caucasian guy who was also alone. I was scared. I didn't even know whether I could make myself understood because I didn't think I had the fundamentals in grammar, and I knew I wasn't pronouncing words correctly. However, we were able to communicate actually. Even though we couldn't speak many words, even though we couldn't speak correctly, one thing we were absolutely sure about was that we wanted to talk with each other. 1 month had passed. Obviously, I was changing. I was beginning to learn that most people at first don't care so much about how you pronounce or how grammatically correct your speech is, as long as they can get the meaning. That was the first time I appreciated those enormous tests I had to take each pen. It had surely given me the fundamentals anyway, the knowledge of grammar, vocabulary, idioms, and so on. How perfectly I got them didn't matter. All I needed was to take a first step forwards. So again, the question is, are we able to realize that we have the fundamentals? And are we able to make use of the fundamentals with a little bit more courage? Ladies and gentlemen, I know how tough it is to have the courage. However, we have to admit that English is becoming more and more important in today's global society. And actually, there's one thing I want you to remember. Even in Japan, you can have the opportunity to speak English if you attend English speaking clubs and international interaction activity, and so on. The more you speak English, the more confidence you get. It was the last day of the summer school program I joined when I was 15. I was walking on campus with an Italian guy beside me. He said quietly, "Actually, I have never met such a friendly Japanese guy, Yuichi." Ladies and gentlemen, there's no need to be perfect. You already have everything you need. So what are we waiting for? So together, let us take a first step forward with a little bit more courage. Thank you very much for your listening.